Hi, this is Dr. ShaRhae from Real Health Chiropractic Clinic in Eden Prairie, and we are super excited today to have one of our guests and someone who's actually worked with my own children in baseball here today to talk a little bit about arm strengthening. This is Jim Brower from Brower Baseball, and I will just let him kind of introduce himself and some of his history and background.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Again, my name's Jim Brower. I grew up here in Minnesota where we're at, and baseball has been a part of my life ever since I was young. I went to University of Minnesota. I ended up playing professionally for 17 years, 9 different major league teams, so I bounced around a little bit. I ended up being a pitching coach for the Kansas City Royals, a pitching coordinator for Chicago Cubs, which is in charge of the whole minor league system. So I've affected a lot of pitchers at the amateur level and the professional level. And right now I find myself in the dugout for the Seattle Mariners. So baseball is what I do, and the way the game's changing right now when it comes to knowing the body, high performance, technology, all these things that are happening right now comes down to the body. These players, we got to keep them on the field, we got to keep them healthy. It's a multi-billion-dollar business that we have to be creative in some points in order to get these guys, keep them on the field. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, which is perfect. And like I said, both of my boys have done Jim's arm strengthening program, which he runs, which I believe ties in perfectly with chiropractic care. We're balancing out the spine and working with the shoulder joint and the mechanics, because kids these days have so much repetition, specifically one-sided when we're talking about pitchers or even just throwers. And Jim has a particular program designed to help children and developing athletes kind of keep their body nice and healthy. Do you want to mention a little bit about your program?
Absolutely. It's the program is based, we get away from the talk of velocity, we get into alignment, and that's where chiropractic came in. When I was a player, I came here to ShaRhae to kind of keep me on the field, and I was very blessed with health, and it wasn't just lucky. I mean, you got to put the work in, and there's a lot of different areas you have to go with that. And so in my program, what I do is I try to teach something that is more on the mental side, the preparation of getting loose, the importance of staying healthy, being able to stay, keep your body in tune, in line. The shoulder can't be weak, otherwise it's going to put more stress on the elbow. It all works together. And so if you can teach and instruct these kids to kind of understand and learn their bodies, and then it gets easy after that, because it's all about movement. We got to be able to move better. I can take all this data and spin rates, but at the end of the day, these kids have to move better. And if they learn their bodies, they learn what's the difference between being a little sore, being hurt, and that's guidance. That's guidance and time, and being attentive. And so going through what I do in the off-season throwing programs that I do, it's informative. And then yes, they get on the mound, they get to throw, they get good technique. But at the end of the day, if they get sick and they miss a couple weeks, at least they have the knowledge of what do I need to get back to. So even though physically they might drop off a little bit, on the mental side, they know where I need to go, and there's something they can take with them.
Well, and I know my son, Noah, plays baseball now in college, and he still uses some of the techniques and warm-ups and things that Jim taught him back when Noah was still a pitcher. He's not pitching much anymore. But so, Jim, why don't you tell us a little bit about how maybe chiropractic specifically impacted some of your throwing mechanisms and balance, or things that you've seen?
Absolutely. Balance is everything. And when it comes to spine, lumbar, shoulder, elbow, I know I had some adjustments in my elbow as well, where things just get off. I mean, in the way baseball works, and especially pitching, one side pulls, the other side pushes. So when you see imbalance, that's all baseball is. Baseball is a bunch of imbalances. So now, as a pitcher, what's happening is that I'm getting direction, and so you have to make sure you keep alignment with your spine, because spinal tilt, that's the first thing that coaches can start looking for. Because if you're weak, you start to kind of give a little bit, and as soon as your posture breaks down, that's when your mechanics start to fall off. And so the idea is that we need to use the big muscles, the abs, the chest, the back, in order to keep a good solid posture, so that as we start to rotate around the spine, that's when acceleration comes in. That's where velocity, especially for the older kids, starts coming into play. And that's where arm health is. You have to be able to be, knees, hips, especially the hips, hip alignment, spine, because everything is going to work around it. So if you are off, if you have some imbalances, whether it's lower, upper, I was more, my traps, I get tight, as soon as those loosened up, now I was able to move better, more efficiently. And when that happened, that took more stress off my shoulder, off my elbow. And so everything has to work together. The kinematic chain, it starts from the ground up. And if there's a bad link in there somewhere, you get in trouble.
Yeah, well, and the things that I'm concerned with in my practice and with my own children and other players are these repetition injuries that used to happen in professional athletes. Now we're seeing Tommy John surgery in kids as young as like 14 and crazy things. Have you noticed a change? You've been doing your program for quite a few years. And so what I'm wondering, have you noticed a change in those athletes that you're working with to develop the strength that those repetition injuries are diminishing?
Yeah, fatigue is the number one issue when it comes to health for the arm, especially for kids. What I find now is that everything's more selective. I'm just doing baseball, and so the downtime is gone. Everything is year round, which isn't great for the body. They don't really control their effort because everything, we call it in the pro game a showcase mentality. A showcase mentality is every time I pick up a baseball, I got to impress. I'm trying to get a scholarship. I'm trying to make the varsity team. I'm trying to make the travel team. So everything is predicated on performance and results. And so in my program, the biggest thing is the process. And the process is a word that's really fun to say, but what is it? If you're dedicating yourself to arm strengthening, getting better mechanics, getting better education when it comes to what does my body need to move and what do I need to do professionally or as an individual to be better. And these kids don't get that. They haven't really learned to practice. And so that lack of learning quality practice turns into we just do games. It's all about the results. It doesn't matter as long as I'm getting guys out, it doesn't matter what I'm doing physically. But it really does. And that's where I would like people to be a little more proactive when it comes to arm care, like warm-ups. I mean, that's where part of what Noah did was we have preparation that before you touch a baseball, you have to go through these movements and exercises to get loose. So that's the process. The process that here's what I do to get loose, here's what I do when I throw. Mechanically, I got to stay in a good rhythm. When it's done, you're not done. You have to go and take care of yourself, and that's where chiropractic comes in. That's where the physical therapy comes in. Just make sure we keep lengthened and strengthened so we can go out there and crush.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to thank Jim for coming and doing this interview with me today. And everybody who's in the Twin Cities, we're super blessed to have Jim here in the off season, and I know the program is expanding. This year we'll have locations in Shakopee and Eden Prairie. Okay. And if anybody wants to hear about it, we'll definitely in the comments put Jim's website in again and any contact information. And I was hoping he'd bring some of those rings today, but no such luck. I do have a picture I'll pop on there too. I tried on the Cubs World Series ring last year when he came in. So thanks, Jim. And and we'll have him tag if anybody has questions or comments. You can add that in there as well. So thanks, everybody. And again, this is Dr. ShaRhae from Real Health Chiropractic Clinic. And have a great day.